Welcome to We and Lewis, a podcast dedicated to celebrating the remarkable, creative, and energetic people who live in Lewis and are helping our community forge a collective soul as appealing as it is unique. These are their stories and their words. They are the we in Lewis. I'm your host, Kevin McGinnis. Our guest today is Matt Mundok, a creative, successful entrepreneur who has started a new business here in Lewis, Tide Runner Adventures, a private charter service that delivers a customized adventure for a small group of friends, family, or work team. That's up to a maximum of 6 people. Matt, I have to say, you might want to consider strengthening your website description because it doesn't do justice to the experience you're providing to some of your guests. I heard a story about a young teenage girl who, after she returned to the dock after one of your tours, turned to her mom and said, "Mom, that was the best Tuesday of my life." In parental land, that comment is the holy grail. It's also so wonderfully teenage normal. She didn't say it was the best day of her life. No, few teenagers would ever be that effusive. But it got the best Tuesday. Not Friday, not Saturday, Tuesday.
It was good. It was a good one.
So what was Wednesday? Today's episode is brought to you by the sister restaurants Kindle and Half Full, 2 of the cornerstones of the Lewis community. Located here in the heart of the business district, Kindle offers a traditional American fare with a French flavor, incredible specials, and a wine list second to none, all in a setting that is as personable as it is welcoming. Don't miss out on the specials Mule Freak Night or Thursday's Filet Night. Right next door, Half Full is the undisputed home of Gen X comfort food. Yes, pizza and wine. Try the fig and arugula pizza or the cold board appetizer. Whether you're dining inside, outside, or taken home, you'll leave happy. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Become a big fan as of late, and I appreciate all you do for us.
Thank you. What led to the opening of Tide Runner Adventures?
I'm super grateful for having the opportunity to call the Cape region home. And I never wanted to take this place for granted. And, today, I always think about things are for today and memories are forever. And when I really think about the opportunity to start a local business that people can experience the great attributes of this region, I just felt like this would be a great platform to be able to do that. We've lived here for 15 years permanently, over 25 years. I've had property here, and every single one of those days, I owned a boat. And we had certainly lots of friends and family to come to visit. And one of the things we always did was a family boat day, whether it was an early morning fishing trip or a trip out to the sandbar and tubing, or taking a sunset cruise over the Rusty Rudder to hear some music. It was always something that we did with our friends and family when they visited. And they always came back and said, "Uncle Matt," or "Matt, Michelle, you guys it was a fantastic day on the water." And we really enjoyed it ourselves, and we loved it when our families made some great memories when they came to visit. So when my family goes on a trip anywhere, we always charter a boat. Whether it's a sailboat in the Keys or a fishing trip inshore or offshore, or if it's even a ferry ride to an island, we always charter a boat when we go any place we visit. And about 10 plus years ago, I was fishing. My son and I were fishing with a gentleman down in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. And I asked the guide, I said, do you do this full time? I'm never short on questions. And how many charters you do a year and so forth and so on. And he said, I just, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a small business here locally, and I only do 1 or 2 trips a week in the summertime. My business slows down in the summer. I think he had a coffee roasting business or something like that. And he said, it's just fantastic. I get out on the water. I get to meet new people, and the best part of it is I get to write all my toys off for a tax deduction. And I was like, wow, okay, there's a 1, 2, 3, checking a lot of great boxes there, right? And so I came home, and sure enough, I went registered an LLC, and planted that seed. That was about 10 years or so ago. And then I put it on the shelf. I was an entrepreneur myself, had a successful business, had 4 children that I was running around all over God's creation. And, I just said, you know what, someday I'm gonna do this. We all know what happened the summer of 2020. The pandemic really impacted my consulting business. I wasn't traveling as much or at all, really, that first summer. And, of course, if you had a boat during those days, you spent a lot of time on the water. The kids had a lot more time, free time. And if you recall, it was a beautiful spring and summer in 2020. And I can remember my wife sitting on the boat watching all these beautiful pontoon boats, these tri-toons running up and down the canal and out on the Lewis Beach. And we've always had a fishing boat for 20 plus years. And she said to me, man, Matt, we really need to get a pontoon boat. And I'm like, you know what, Michelle, we don't need 2 boats. 1 boat is plenty. For all you boat owners out there, you can know exactly what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, she said, I think it would be really fun. I think we can really have a great time with it. So I said to her, well, okay, I'll tell you what. Remember that charter business I talked about years ago? I would consider buying a pontoon boat if you would support me in starting the charter business. And she said, deal. So fantastic. I went out, went to Annapolis, took the coursework for my 6-pack license, bought a boat in the fall of 2020, and in 2021, we launched Tide Runner Adventures.
Okay, a couple of questions.
Sure.
What is a 6-pack?
Yeah, so a 6-pack license is
No, Steve, not that 6-pack. You can't take a course to get one, apparently.
A 6-pack license is the lowest certification by the U.S. Coast Guard. It's for a vessel in which the captain can charter up to 6 paying passengers. And they refer to it generically as a 6-pack license.
Okay. So you started when you still had your other company running, is that right?
Yeah. So I had started a consulting practice back in 2006. And this really was a side gig and nothing more than that. It was, how could I basically emulate exactly what the guide told me back years earlier in Emerald, North Carolina? How could I emulate that same situation where I could spend some more time on the water, get to know some new people, and of course, create another business opportunity.
What makes the experience you're offering different from other offerings in the community?
I really take a hospitality approach to this service. I've grown up in the hospitality industry. I've spent my entire professional career in hospitality. And I feel like this is such an opportunity outside of food and beverage to really be able to provide a hospitality experience to folks so they can create those memories that me and my family have done for years down here.
When you say customized adventures, can a potential customer call you up and sort of, you have on your website, you have a variety of options, but they can kind of create their own?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we've said from day one. It's like we want this to be an opportunity to be 100% customizable. Now, of course, everybody says, well, let's start somewhere. And we do. And we have our typical, sunset cruises or eco tours or dolphin watching excursions. And that's really where people like to start. But I literally, every single guest that steps on our boat, whether I'm captaining the boat or one of my other captains are taking our guests out, we say these words. This is your boat for the next couple hours. Just let me know what you want to do, and we're going to deliver it to you. So we really want the guests to feel comfortable that if we want to pivot, we want to do something different, or if we're doing something and we want to do more of that, I want to give them the opportunity to do exactly that.
And how long are these outings?
Yeah, so we advertise them to be about 2.5 hours. And what we found is it's the perfect amount of time. You get out on the water, you get to start your adventure, bathroom breaks and all the rest of those things that you have to kind of accommodate for, the 2.5 hour time frame seems to be just the perfect sweet spot for the adventures that we offer.
And where does the boat leave from?
We've been fortunate enough to partner with the Walsh family at the Anglers Marina. So we do have a slip there in front of Irish Eyes. We depart right from Irish Eyes, and it's been a great relationship for the last few years doing our adventures out of that location.
There are other companies providing touring in the area, Cape Water Tours or Matt Carter's Quest Adventures. Did you view them as competitors that you had to be better than to succeed in the marketplace?
You know, that's a great question, and I would absolutely not. I really look at them as worthy rivals. I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. He's a great business leader, business writer, motivator, and he defines a worthy rival as when you have somebody else in your field that's worthy of comparison because they do at least one thing better than what you do. Competitors are someone you're always aiming to beat. But as I look at worthy rivals, they serve as a mirror that reflect your own weaknesses, and they really push you to figure out what you can do better. And that's how I look at all the services here locally. Everybody has a niche, right? And the offshore fishermen, they do a great job at that, and that's what they do. And the folks at Cape Water Tours, they do a fantastic job in the services that they're providing. I want to create, again, a complement to those services because as the old adage goes, right, high tide rises all boats.
So do you end up working with some of them?
Yeah, we have great relationships. I feel very fortunate that I've been welcomed by the community here. I'm a big referral guy. If I want to help people, right? So if there's an opportunity for a service that I can't fulfill for whatever reason, I have a list of our local partners, and I say, hey, look, call this captain. I think he's going to be able to help you out, or call the folks over at Cape Tours, or give Matt Carter a call at Quest, and I'm sure they're going to be able to provide a great experience for you, your family, or whatever you're trying to accomplish. So yes, I love the referral opportunities that we have here.
Do you ever coordinate with coordinate one of your tours with some of the programs that they provide?
Yeah, so we have in the past created some really great partnerships with some of the local businesses here in town, and we want to continue to grow those partnerships as we look to expand the business. But I'll give you for instance, you mentioned Matt Carter and Quest Adventures. They do a fantastic job with their beach bonfires.
Right.
So we do promote on our website the opportunity to have a sunset cruise in which we will come bring our party back, either deliver them right to the beach or bringing back to the dock where Matt and his team will have their bonfire ready to go. So we think it's a perfect way to end a great night on the water.
In business schools all over the country, it's drilled into you, or it used to be drilled into you, that bigger is better. Why did you opt for a small group as opposed to the size being offered by others?
That goes back to trying to create a more intimate experience for folks. How do I deliver what I call that real memorable hospitality experience? Much easier to deliver that with a small group. And again, that niche was not being filled when we first started Tide Runner Adventures here in the Lewis area. So it really goes back to creating that most memorable experience. If we can do it with your best friends and family, to be able to have that renewal, have that genuine fun out on the water with the people that mean the most to you, and only with those people, I think that really is a really great opportunity.
What have you learned based upon your doing this? What sort of things should a customer be asking? How's the best way to take advantage of what you provide?
Folks don't really have an appreciation for what this region really has to offer. I mean, look, most visitors that come here, they come during the height of the season or on the busiest weekends of the year, and they have flashbacks of Route 1 traffic, right? And lines trying to get into Cape Henlopen State Park. And when they're able to step onto our boat, and I'm either able to take a left, and head through the backside of Cape Henlopen State Park, back through Henlopen Acres and down the canal, or I can make a right and take them out through that Roosevelt Inlet or up into the Broadkill River. They are just amazed, right, that the tranquility, the nature that is all around us, even on the water, the least amount of traffic that you can imagine, where they just spent 45 minutes driving here from Rehoboth. Instantly, they step onto that boat and bam, they are in a completely different world, surrounded by nature and not all the hustle bustle of what we have come to know our beloved Route 1 has become.
Is there, for some of us who feel that we're sort of responsible when the kids were young of keeping the family happy and making sure there are things to do, there's sometimes you're able to go on a trip and you're not in control. And once you relax for a moment, it's marvelously liberating because you're in charge. You're taking care of the boat. There's nothing you can do except sit. And if you can accommodate yourself to that and tune off your instinctive parental need to control everything, it can be really relaxing.
There's no question about that. And one of the aha moments that I've had is we've had so many local folks that live here full time, folks that have grown up here, really, that have taken advantages of our service. Guys that own boats. And it's amazing the difference in their demeanor when they're not at the helm, right? Where they can literally sit back, relax, have a cold beverage, have that one-on-one time with their friends and family out on the water. It's an amazing experience for both me and for our guests.
Before Tide Runner Adventures, you were the founder and president of IHS, Innovative Hospitality Solutions, for 19 years. Now, to understand how that company happened, I think we have to go back in time to when you were in college. What did you study at Penn State?
Yeah, so I was a hotel, restaurant, and institutional management degree holder from Penn State University. Fantastic food and hospitality program, and I was very fortunate to get my education at Penn State. And I've used the things that I learned at Penn State every day of my 35-plus year hospitality career. But a funny story how that whole thing started. Like most 18-year-old kids, I grew up in western Pennsylvania in the mountains, not too far from State College, and went to school, worked the summer before I went to college, and went to school my freshman year, and of course, spent every dime of the money I earned that summer, on pizza and beers and concerts and football games and the like. So I came home for Christmas break and had a great Christmas break with my parents and my brother. And I was heading out the door to go back to Penn State, second semester freshman year. And I said to my dad, "Hey, you have a couple $100?" He goes, "For what?" I said, "Well, I need some money for school." He goes, "Well, what the hell happened to the money that you had from your summer job?" I said, "Well, I spent it all." He goes, "Well, good luck, bud. Go find yourself a job." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Go find yourself a job." I was like, "Okay." So I had no car. I had little experience. So where did I end up? I ended up at the dining hall at Penn State University, right? And of course, where do you start out? Most restaurant guys start out in the dish room. So here I was in the dish room, listening to our Guns N' Roses as loud as we could play it without disrupting the other students in the hall. And I had a blast. I mean, it was one of the best jobs I ever had. Worked there for the entire semester. Just so happened, one of the assistant managers at the dining hall was a Penn State grad, and he had asked me during conversation, "What are you studying?" I'm like, "I have no idea." He says, "Would you ever consider hotel restaurant management?" I'm like, "No, not." Now, listen, I grew up in a town that had no restaurants. I mean, we had a couple bar rooms, right? You had to drive 20 miles to the closest McDonald's, right? So I did not have any experience in the hotel restaurant world. So that summer, I was offered a internship with Penn State in their dining and housing department. We did things like did some summer camp catering. We cleaned and reset dormitories for the upcoming semester, and I really got to know some of the guys that worked in that area. That perpetuated the next semester. Of course, I didn't quit my job because I loved it, and started working in the dining hall. I got promoted from the dish room to a server to a prep cook, and you know how that story kind of goes. So I went ahead and I went to Penn State, earned my degree in hotel restaurant management. I will have to say, though, I had one other very fortunate thing happen to me, and that was my grandparents funded a study abroad semester for me. And again, growing up in Western Pennsylvania, there weren't very many folks that traveled to Europe, let alone to be able to go to school there. And I studied in Switzerland. I spent a semester there.
Where in Switzerland?
Just outside of Geneva, just off of Montreux, Switzerland, Lake Geneva area. And it was a wonderful experience. We studied international business. We studied international cuisine. And of course, part of the program was traveling all across Europe, doing food journaling. So part of our curriculum was to go to other countries, other cities, find some of the finer restaurants, have meals, critique them, bring them back, and then share with our classmates our experiences from a hospitality perspective. It was
So wait a minute. So you're in college and you're taking a degree program that requires you to go eat.
Indeed.
Boy, Steve, you and I really missed out on some intelligent work we could have done in college. Wow, that's fantastic.
It was a fantastic experience, for sure.
Did you have any idea that this would be a harbinger of what was coming?
Oh, no idea. I mean, again, as a 21-year-old kid, just was really looking for every opportunity I could. Of course, my grandparents afforded me that opportunity, and it really did provide a great foundation for both my hospitality and my business career.
After school, you went to the Marriott Corporation. Is that right?
I was able to acquire my first position with Marriott, but it wasn't with the hotel division. It was actually with Marriott Management Services. And at the time, Marriott had a contract food service management division that provided services in college universities and corporations and health systems and senior living centers. And I was able to get into the management training program at Marriott Management Services, and started my career as an assistant food service director at George Mason University over in Fairfax, Virginia.
And from there, you went to the Wood Dining Services?
Yeah, so Wood Dining Services, I worked for Marriott for a number of years. It was a great opportunity. Jumped around, took every opportunity I could to advance my career. So I went from George Mason University up to the University of Pittsburgh for a few years, and then back down to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. That was about the same time I got married. But, things were changing at Marriott. I had a great experience there, but the big time corporate workings just wasn't feeling right to me. So I was able to jump over to a company called Wood Dining Services. They are based in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and they are what we call in the industry a boutique food service management company. And I was able to work with them for a number of years, 6 or 7 years, in both higher education in the college university sector as well as in their corporate sector, which landed me as a project manager here in Delaware at MB&A America Bank headquarters up in Wilmington.
So this company, you're going to institutions that do other things. It might be a hospital. It might be a big company, and providing and taking over their whole provision of service of food for customers or employees. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So what these management companies would do is they would provide the food and hospitality services for the institution in which they were contracted to provide those services. So in my case, in both the higher education and the corporate sectors early on in my career, I was part of the on-site food and hospitality management team. We were responsible for developing the menus, ordering the food, having the staff to cook the food, deliver the services to the employees, of a corporation or the students, faculty, and staff of a college or university.
And what sort of a team were you managing there for MBNA?
Yeah, so when I ended up at MBNA, I started out as a project manager for Wood Dining Services, who was the food and hospitality contractor. They were expanding their services at the time, and what I was doing was going into some of the new office locations that MBNA was building, and I was helping start up the food and hospitality programs at those locations. But I was afforded an opportunity, a very rare opportunity, quite frankly, in our industry, where one of the senior executives at MBNA took a liking to me, and he approached the leadership of the company I was working for, and they had asked if they could offer me a position on the MBNA side of the equation, which is always a good thing when you have the opportunity to be an individual that no longer has to answer the question, but you can be the individual that can ask the question of your operator. So this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I was afforded, and of course I took advantage of it. So right around 2000, I became part of the MBNA America Bank Food and Hospitality team, in which I was then managing these programs and managing the contractors that were providing the services.
So how old are you at this time?
I was in my early 30s.
So you're moving fast.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. Again, I took a lot of risks early on. My wife and I both, I think we lived in 4 states in the first 6 years of our marriage. So there was not an opportunity either for her or for I that we wouldn't take to advance our career. So yes, I was very fortunate to be acquire a position such as I had at a relatively young age.
So that you then eventually left there. Is that right?
Yeah, so MBNA was a fantastic amenity-rich company. I was, in my role at MBNA, I had a very unique position where I sat in on as part of the international design team at MBNA. So in the early 2000s, MBNA was expanding overseas in Canada and continuing to increase their footprint in the United States. And so I had the good fortune of helping design all the new food and hospitality spaces across the entire MBNA portfolio, which included Madrid, Spain, Manchester, UK, a couple locations in Ireland, Ottawa, Canada. So it was a fantastic opportunity for me to take my operational experience and my management experience and be able to translate those skills into helping the bank design these new unbelievable hospitality spaces for the employees of the bank all across the globe.
Did you have a fairly large staff? Because if you're building something for employees in Spain, I'm guessing it's going to be different than building something for employees in Canada.
Yeah, completely different. It was, again, I was a part of a team. So the team included facility planners, interior designers, AV specialists, engineers, of course, construction managers. So it was really a team effort, Kevin. And my niche was really that food and hospitality space. And of course, we used a lot of outside consultants. We used food service design consultants. We used food service planners to help complement the experiences we had internally.
And did that plant the seed?
Oh, 100%.
For creating your own consulting company?
Yeah, 100%. I saw how exciting it would be, or I imagined how exciting it would be to be able to not only work for one organization doing the things that I was able to do, but to be able to expand that to multiple organizations across a couple different verticals.
How old were you when you decided to hang up your own shingle?
Well, that was in 2006. So I was
still in your 30s.
Yes, I was still in my mid to late 30s, right? And Bank of America acquired MBNA in 2005. And for a lot of your listeners, they're very familiar with MBNA. The day that happened, everything changed. And I did stay on board with Bank of America and helped transition all the legacy MB&A food and hospitality business to the Bank of America portfolio. But it became very clear, just like my days back when Marriott, had enough of the big corporation. I felt the same way when Bank of America acquired MB&A. Food and hospitality became a commodity versus an amenity, and that really just wasn't the place for me.
So how did you have some friends you started this business with? How did this happen?
Innovative Hospitality Solutions was created by myself and Gary Gunderson, who was a world-renowned hospitality executive in his own right prior to me even meeting him. But we did work together at MB&A. He was the executive vice president for food and hospitality, and I was one of his VPs. So we did have that working relationship for about 4 years. He had left about a year or so before I did. And then once I decided to step away from Bank of America, it was pretty natural. We started it from ground zero. I remember building the business plan in his screen porch in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania, and that was 20 years ago.
And how big did that company become?
We were blessed. We grew it from zero. It was a multi-million-dollar international food and hospitality consulting firm. Really focused on three main verticals. We worked a lot in the corporate sector. We spent a fair amount of time in higher education. I had that experience. And then along the way, we got exposure to large academic medical centers and health systems, and we expanded into that market as well. So really, we concentrated on those three verticals throughout the 20-year history of the company.
So in this partnership you had with your co-founder, did you have certain, like you would take this sector or he would take how did you divide that up?
Yeah, it was really organic, Kevin, how those things start. You did everything because it was just two of you. So we did it all for a very, very long time. But we did start to leverage our strengths. And of course, then we started to hire and partner with some of the best people that we knew in the industry. So as the company manifested itself over those years, we really took a pretty casual approach to that. One of the things that we did do that was unique to our offering, as we learned over the years, is that every single client had a principal consultant that was assigned to them. So either Gary or myself was assigned to every single project that we did across the globe. And we really felt like we wanted to make sure that our clients knew that we always had their back. They always knew that there was one of us, one of the owners of the company, was going to be there for them, no matter how the project transpired.
At this point, how many countries are you working in?
Yeah, so our focus was mainly in North America. We provided services to organizations in Mexico, U.S., and Canada. We did have some global projects that took us to EMEA, Asia Pac, and some of the South America, but they were far and few between. It became very clear to us is that the further you go, the more you stretch your resources. There just wasn't enough benefit to some of those more global. But North America, we provided those services pretty efficiently and effectively.
At this point, is your office kind of a suitcase?
Oh, 100%. For 20 years, 2006, thinking about this, long before Zoom and some of the tools that we have today, we ran that business for 20 years with never having a brick and mortar location. It was 100% remote. We had consultants all across the country, from Florida to California to the Midwest to New England, and we did everything through the means of technology. Conference calls back in the day, obviously when Zoom and those services came to fruition, they made us much more efficient. And then, of course, after the pandemic, it became second nature to be able to use those tools. So we really were able to create a very lean and mean, low overhead practice for those years.
When did you come to Lewis?
Michelle came to Lewis since she's been an infant. Her uncle was a officer here at the Air Force Base in Dover. And back in the late 60s, his family moved to the barracks over on the beach, and they lived there all summer, and he was the director of all things related to the recreation opportunities for the airmen from Dover Air Force Base. So that really created an opportunity he was in. And so he retired a few years later, but had the network that allowed him and Michelle's father to come and to their summer vacation there at the old barracks over at Fort Miles, Cape Penelope State Park. And we have some great photographs of Michelle and her brother and sister sitting in the sand in front of the barracks and sitting on the swing sets. It's remarkable to think about how long that has really been enjoyed by the local folks here to take advantage of it. But so she and her family used to come here every single year from Western Pennsylvania. And it wasn't until the 90s until I met Michelle where I was introduced to the Cape region. And so early in our marriage, we were living in the Washington, D.C. area. We used to come to camping at Cape Penelope State Park. And 3 or 4 times a year. And one year we came in the fall and we had one of those little mini nor'easters, and it was just pouring down rain, like foggy and windy, and it was terrible. We were sitting under the tent, and I remember I came into town to the daily market to grab some supplies, and I grabbed the local newspaper. I think it was probably the Cape Gazette. So anyway, I opened up the paper, and I was flipping through the classified ads, and I saw these, the real estate section, and I saw these trailers for sale on some of the leased land plots. And I looked at Michelle, I'm like, these trailers are like, cost as much as a car. Like, what are we doing? We're sitting here in the pouring down rain. Let's go take a look at some of these things. So sure enough, we got it. We jumped in our car and we went and we called a real estate agent and we started looking at these trailers. And sure enough, we're like, oh, this is fantastic. Let's go ahead and just buy one. So we bought one. Not soon after that, we started having children. Well, guess what? The single wide wasn't going to cut it. So we upgraded to the double wide. And so we had our double wide beach house over on North Rehoboth Bay for a few years. And then in 2010, after I had started the consulting business, we had to make a decision. The kids were getting older, they're getting involved in things, and we had moved to Hershey, Pennsylvania for a job opportunity for Michelle, and decided, hey, it's either now or never. We're either going to have to sell the little beach house and be committed to Pennsylvania, or we're going to have to relocate down there full time. And we sold our home in Pennsylvania, moved here in 2010, and have never looked back.
And Michelle is very accomplished in her field, correct?
She is indeed, yeah. She's a audiologist. She went to the University of Pittsburgh, grad school at University of Pittsburgh, and got her doctorate at the University of Florida. And she's been a cochlear implant audiologist for her entire career. So if you're not familiar with cochlear implants, they are implantable devices that allow a profoundly deaf person to hear again. It's an amazing technology. And is certainly, as you can imagine, life-changing for so many people. So she was a clinical audiologist for many years, and then got into the medical device side of the business. And she's been with a company called Cochlear Corporation, based in Sydney, Australia, for the past 25 years, in a variety of roles, both clinically, sales and marketing, and project management.
Let's go back for a second. When you get hired as a consultant, especially in the sort of consultancy you were doing now with your own company, you're talking with someone in the C-suite. You're talking with the COO or the CEO or whatever. And did you find that consulting has a much different dynamic than just offering your service?
Oh, consulting, yes, for sure. There's a couple of things that come to mind when I reflect on management consulting. First of all, inevitably, there's somebody in the organization that questions why do we have to hire a consultant, right? Like,
I can do that. I can do that.
100%, right? So you always have those people. You have the individuals that say, well, geez, if the consultant uncovers, right, the things we aren't doing well, am I going to be in jeopardy, right? That's always a risk, right? In our situation, when you are consulting between two parties, right, you have the food service management company that's providing the services. and then you have the owner of the institution in which those services are being provided for. Our services were kind of like what we describe as the third leg of the three-legged stool, right? You can imagine you have the food service program that is the base of the stool. You have the owner or the institution. You have the operator or the food service management company, and then you have us as the consultant. So yes, it's a balancing act for sure. And not only do you have those relationships you have to build and that trust you have to build between those parties, what we have experienced over the years is that we become much more than just a consultant. We often say we become a therapist. We become a therapist for sometimes for our client personally. Sometimes it's the food service management company that's leaning on us to say, man, we just can't figure this out. Can you help us? And sometimes it's the institution that really leans on us. And sometimes we really play that mediator to be able to ensure that, hey, how can we get the best out of these organizations to deliver that hospitality experience to whoever that consumer is, whether it's a patient at the Mayo Clinic, or it's a student at West Virginia University, or it's a trader at J.P. Morgan Chase headquarters. It doesn't matter, right, which environment we're working in. It's how do we elevate those hospitality experiences and help coach and elevate those experiences for that those individual end users.
But let's go back to something you just said. There's a personal component to this too, because when you get hired by an executive like that of a large corporation, you don't have an agenda like every other person the executive is talking to. And they sort of trust you and they like to bounce things off you. And I sort of feel like they can get an honest answer where everyone else is providing an answer based on their agenda.
That's so true.
And I found that you have this very interesting relationship with that individual that sort of far exceeds the reason you were hired.
Yeah, I mean, look, we do our best to be authentic, right? We do our best to put ourselves in that executive's seat. And really the value that we bring, Kevin, when we're providing these services is taking those best practices, taking what has worked well with other organizations, identifying even better if, right, we could do X, Y, or Z, and really advocating for that individual. Our success, we've always talked about this, our success is the program advancing to deliver a better hospitality experience. And those executives that we're dealing with, if we can deliver on that, of course, right, it makes us all look better, feel better, and accomplish exactly what we're looking to do.
So you have this incredible consulting company, international and based. You can go wherever you want. You're traveling all around. You have people asking for your advice on an hourly basis and so on. And you end up selling it. What happened?
Yeah. Well, Gary and I, it was a great run, 19 years, and we had the best team. I cannot say enough about our team. And we really created, Kevin, what we describe as a purpose-based company, right? And the reason why IHS existed, right, was to educate and inspire organizations and their people to transform their hospitality programs, to deliver elevated experiences, to support their mission or culture. So if you unpack that, we were educators and inspirators, and that's really what we set out to do. And we had a team that was delivering that wholeheartedly. But like most small business owners, we got to a point where we knew that we either had to do one of two things, right? We were either going to have to make some investments on our own, or we were going to have to find an investor to be able to elevate and to grow the business.
In other words, buy or be bought.
Exactly right. And we always created this. We named it Innovative Hospitality Solutions, or what became known as IHS, for a reason. We always wanted the business to be bigger than Gary and Matt. We didn't want it to be Mundok and Gunderson and Associates, right? We wanted it to be something that could be have a legacy that could live beyond Gary and Matt. So we got to a point where we were like, wow, this is, we've probably taken this as far as we could. So we didn't have a for sale sign out, but a very niche private equity individual that was very successful in the food and hospitality industry approached us through some reputational opportunities and referral opportunities. And they said, hey, we're looking for innovative, disruptive types of service companies. We're building this portfolio, and we think you'd be a great fit. And so we went through the due diligence process, and we felt like at this time it was the best thing for us, for our team, and for the company as a whole.
So they bought you?
They did, 100% acquisition.
And how long did you stay?
Yeah, so that acquisition happened in early January 2025, and here we are in January 2026. So it did. I helped transition the business. We helped set the business up for long-term sustainable success. But for a very long time, even since that fishing trip down in Emerald Isle in 2016, I always had my eye on the next chapter. And that was taking what I had dreamed up, Tide Runner Adventures, and delivering that at a more scalable level. And that's the chapter in which I'm embarking on today.
But so, Matt, you went from this large consulting firm, I mean, the sort of stuff that you hear about from people who live in New York City. And I mean, it's going amazingly well. And then you seem to replicate an experience most of us do in our late 60s, where you reach that point, you sell the business, and you step back, and you go from having people at you 24 hours a day, at wanting you to make decisions on really complicated problems and mostly on tedious stuff, and then it's done. It's over. And you're still in your early 50s. What's that like? Because for most of us, when you get to that point, when you've done something like that, you realize people are now calling you out of courtesy, not out of need. Things get very quiet. It takes a little adjustment.
Yeah, well, I'm getting used to it, Kevin, quite honestly. It hasn't been all that long, but certainly those hours and days have started to manifest themselves, just as you described, right? But, I was able to take that risk, I guess. Some people would call it a risk, because I wanted to be an enabler of what I call, manifesting joy, okay? I'd be a hypocrite, right? If I didn't look at this as a tremendous opportunity. I have 4 children, and Michelle and I have preached to them since they've been little kids, right? How can we ensure that we find joy in our lives? And we've told them, dream big. Don't ever hold yourself back. Take risks if you feel like they will manifest into something wonderful. And I felt this time in my career, it was time to do that. I had to be an example for my children. I wanted to prove to myself, right, that stepping away from a very successful business, starting something new, because I know how it feels when that testimonial you described at the beginning of this podcast makes me feel, and I know the impact that we can potentially have on our guests, our neighbors here by providing these types of experiences at Tide Runner Adventures. So it was an easy decision, really, because I know what's possible, and I want to be able to do everything I can in my power to manifest it. Let me tell you the power of this community, right? And, back in 2020, when I considered getting my license and ramping up Tide Runner Adventures, even as a side gig, I didn't do it alone. I went out and I sought counsel from a local real estate gentleman that's grew up here and has lived here his entire life, a local restaurateur, a executive at one of the largest construction companies here locally, a proprietor of a adventure service, an owner of a brewery, right? So I went ahead and I already had this network of acquaintances and friends that I leaned on and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this." They became a sort of a board of directors, so to speak. I said, "I've created a successful business-to-business enterprise, right? At that time, for the last 15 years. Now I want to dip my toe into a local consumer, business-to-consumer business. I have no idea what I'm doing, but those individuals embraced the idea. They embraced me as an individual. They poured a ton of knowledge into my brain. So yes, I was doing it alone, but this community has the resources and has the people that can really help any individual, right, manifest any kind of opportunity that they can dream of. I also have the desire to take all those worldly experiences that I've been so fortunate to have and to be able to help others here locally do whatever they want to do.
So you would like to provide the same service that you were able to create and take advantage of for yourself with regard to the local community and help others have that same experience.
100%. I look at, there's formal organizations out there like SCORE, right, that have those services available. But, we also have an opportunity to create something here, right, where, again, we can take all these experience, lots of folks from our community maybe can come together, and we can do something special to give folks the courage, the resources, the inspiration, and education, just like my consulting firm, to have them manifest whatever it is they dream about.
Is that the next thing, kind of the next mountain out in the distance?
I'm a visionary person. I've never ever had a day that I didn't have some vision out there in my mind that we could create. So I have to admit, yes, that's certainly it's swirling around in my brain for sure, and how we could accomplish that.
What advice would you give to someone who, like you, is in their 50s, they've had a career, and they're wondering what to do next? Just continue with what they're doing, same old, or take a risk and do something different? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Again, I feel fortunate in my situation. I'm always going to lean towards finding a way to take the risk, for sure. But it has to be planned. I think it has to be considered. It has to be methodical in the approach. Over my career, I've taken those risks once or twice or three times. By moving on from very good opportunities to doing something that I know would bring me more joy in my life. And so courage is the key. Starting small, taking that first step is always the way to do it. But taking big risks, I would never advocate for. So methodical, right? Having the support around you, doing the research, and really determining exactly, how you can make this happen. Tide Runner Adventures, we started small, we dipped our toe, but now it's time to go all in, and that's a really great recipe for success, I believe, as well.
Matt, again, thanks for being our guest today and for providing us with a glimpse into what's really been a fascinating life. And one gets the impression the book is not finished yet. There'll be a lot more chapters to come. If you'd like to know more about what Matt is offering, please visit his website at tiderunneradventures.com. That's all one word. Thanks to today's sponsor, the sister restaurants Kindle and Half Full. Good food, good drinks, great ambiance, and fully honoring Kindle's motto, eat, drink, glow. Preferably in that order. And thank you for listening. At the time of this recording, it's early February, frigid, windy, and the kind of weather that drove quite a few of us to move here to the coast. The bay is frozen again, and the beach looks like something out of the disaster movie The Day After Tomorrow. But here, where the glass is always half full, remember, pitchers and catchers have already reported to spring training. The official start to spring is only 30 days away, and within a fortnight, Steve will unpack his shorts for good because it's time, and I quote, to free the legs. Till next time, from the cozy confines of the beautiful and beloved Kindle restaurant, this has been We in Lewis, the podcast. See you on the streets.